Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Album Spotlight, the show where I put the spotlight on a new album in progressive rock that I've really been digging and that I want to share with you guys. I'm trying to emphasize that there's great music being made today in the progressive rock world, and there's so many albums coming out, sometimes it's hard to wade through all of the albums and try to pick out the little gems, but that's really what I love doing, and what I try to bring to you guys is the hidden gems that you may not have heard of before that come to your attention and that you just fall in love with like I have. And I have a really great gem of an album today to talk about. This is Kyros' album Mannequin. Now this is a band that's been around 10 years or so. They started out with a different name. It's hard to pronounce, but I think it's Synesthesia. They're a band from the UK, helmed by Shelby Logan Warren, who's a excellent artist, multi-instrumentalist, has a lot of talent that's displayed throughout these albums. They went on to change their name to Kyros with the album Vox Humana in 2016. They have progressed from being a band that was mostly into like the neo-prog genre, like Frost, maybe a dash of Porcupine Tree and Muse. But I feel like they've morphed throughout the years to become more heavily into the 80s synth style of music and having these pop hooks and these infectious melodies. And they've infused that into their prog style to create a really cool stew of music that's fun to listen to and is a great combination of complex proggy instrumental music with some really cool, catchy 80s synth pop hooks. And it just creates this magic combination that I fall in love with because I love those two styles of music. And I feel like that started on their album Celexa Dreams that came out in 2020, but is fully solidified on this new album Mannequin that just fully embraces the poppiness, and I just love it for that. I think that puts it on a whole new level in their catalog and has now, bar none, my favorite album that they've ever produced. And I just think it sounds really excellently produced. It's great production values. Every instrumentalist is shining on this record. The bass is just really fat and really funky. The vocals are better than they've ever been before from Shelby. All of the guitar soloing by Joey Frivola is just excellent. There's some really tight drumming. It's just all really excellently played and composed and makes for just a fun, breezy listen that I just can't stop listening to and putting on repeat. It's ear candy to the extreme and just infuses everything I love about music in a really cool, digestible package. And this may not be for everyone, because maybe not everyone is into this like 80s pop style that they really lean hard into, especially on tracks like Esoterica and Ghosts of You and Liminal Space, which really are just 80s synth bops with little touchstones of progressive rock thrown into the mix to keep it interesting and varied. But you can almost hear these playing in like a dance club or something and are just super fun pop anthems that I just adore when they come up in the track list. But around that, there's some really proggy, interesting stuff going on in the tracks like Showtime, which is an instrumental that maybe takes some cues from Yes, with some really cool bass grooves a la Chris Squire, some explosive guitar shredding and happy 80s synths, some bright, almost horn sounds towards the beginning of the track that just builds in this really exciting way. The End in Mine is one of my favorite tracks. It starts out with a pretty quirky opening that's really proggy and has some wicked funk bass in the mix, but then in the middle of the track they just go all out with some crazy instrumental work, some bass solos, some chiptune, some video game sounds, tons of quirky synths and time signatures, not unlike some of the quirkier bits of like a Haken piece or some strange Devin Townsend work. It's just goes all out in a proggy fashion, and it's really enjoyable and fun in that way. So there's just so much to love about this album, because it runs that gamut between prog and 80s pop music, and it does it extremely well. It's just a huge, glorious kaleidoscope of sound that is almost overwhelming at times because they throw a lot into the mix. There's lots of complexity and lots of layers of things. But to me, that makes it a fun album to continually re-listen to and to continue to dig into those layers and to find hidden things that you didn't hear before on first listen. There's a lot of cool little production tricks and a lot of cool sounds that they're throwing into the mix to add weight to these excellent pieces of music. And aside from the ones I've kind of been already talking about, Illusions Inside is another more poppy track with big 80s synth energy, some slap bass, some bright poppy synth music, and has this hard part near the end with these thick bassy stabs of music. It's just really a fun little track that goes and runs the gamut, a great amalgamation of their progginess but also their pop sensibilities. Esoterica, as I mentioned, is just a big fun 80s dance club beats, synthwave, disco, and prog all rolled into one, and it works. Just a brilliant track, and it gets this kind of funkified guitar bit in the middle with synth stabs. It's just excellent and fun to listen to. Digital Fear is a fun instrumental that starts with these synths and electronica and an 80s soundtrack kind of vibe before it gets more orchestral and more cinematic in its scope, leading into Ghosts of You, which is one of the more popular tracks on the record with big horns, 80s dancey goodness, super funky bass, and so many cool layers to uncover and to dance along to. Just a really fun track. Technology Killed the Kids 4. It seems like this is kind of a series that runs through their albums, this Technology Killed the Kids. And you get a big kind of Frost layer of sound with tons of passion and emotion in the vocals, some heavy, intense building instrumental sections with these heavy synths. It goes really hard in certain sections, and it ends with some high-octane instrumental playing amid some electronic glitchiness. It's really a cool track. The record ends on Have Hope, which brings more of a big, bright, and upbeat sound to kind of counteract the darkness of Technology Killed the Kids. And you get some almost proggy, circusy music kind of stuff. You get some quirky instrumental leads, some killer synth work, some fat bass lines, some dark, sinister sounds come towards the end with some ripping guitar solos. And it's just a brilliant, complex cacophony of proggy goodness that you hear as you go through the track, and there's just so many different things going on to catch your ear and to keep your attention, and it's one you want to keep going back to keep trying to uncover the layers. It's like a musical puzzle to understand and enjoy, and a great fun way to end the record on. So it's just a brilliant, beautiful record. If you love that big 80s synth style sound and don't mind some pop catchiness to your prog, this is definitely going to be up your lane. If you like bands like Frost and the neo-prog energy that they bring to the table, I think this has a lot in common with that style sound. Any John Mitchell project, I think the guitar playing lends itself a lot to that John Mitchell type sound as well. So there's just a lot to love about this release that just really captivated me and kept me interested, because for me what matters most in music is that it's fun to listen to, and this is just a blast to get through the whole record and has so many fun moments. Just every few minutes you hear something new and cool and different and exciting, and it just makes you want to keep listening more and more. It's an addictive record, and I'm excited to continue listening to it more and more as time develops. It's just going to be a fun ride, and I think it has a chance to place highly on my year-end list, because I'm already pretty addicted to the record, even though I've only been listening for a few days, really. It's just fantastic, and I'm excited to share it, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it as well. It's one I want to shout from the rooftops and tell everyone to at least give it a chance, because it could be up your alley. It may be too oddball for you if you don't like the quirkiness of it, or if you don't like the pop hooks, but for me it just hits and ticks all the right boxes. I'm just really excited about it, and so I want to share it with all of you. So hopefully you guys enjoy the album. If you've heard it before, let me know in the comments how you feel about this record, and please go and check it out if you haven't yet. It's available out in the world on streaming services. The band has it for sale. They're selling physical copies as well on CD and orange vinyl, so it's definitely one to seek out and definitely worth your attention. They're a great band. Their whole catalog is worth a look at, and I'm excited to see where they continue to go forward. It's always exciting to see a young group of musicians doing such fun, complex, proggy music, because it shows that there's a lot of life left in the genre and that it can continue forward in the hands of these younger artists. And so I'm excited to see where it moves from here. And so I thank the band and for all that they did here. I know it took a lot of work, I'm sure, to produce this album, but from the sounds of it, it was probably a lot of fun to put this all together. And so kudos to them, and thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the music out there, whatever you got going on. Thank you guys, everybody. Hopefully see you in a future episode. Bye!